So I am joined by Rachel Cruze. She's a personal finance expert and a best-selling author. So thank you so much for joining us today.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, and I know you're also a mom. I'm a mom myself. So I think you have a lot of good expertise when it comes to budgeting and knowing how to not spend too much on your kids, but you also want to make sure they have enough, they have what they need. So talk to me a little bit about your advice when it comes to school shopping and how to stay on budget and not go over your limit.
Well, this is always a hard time because the kids are so excited to go shopping and oh gosh, inflation, and you're looking at the prices as a parent, knowing how expensive everything is. So I think the key here is a budget. So have an amount of money, hey, this is what we have to spend. And then take those school supply lists to the store and actually say, we're going to stick within this budget, which may mean we're going to have to buy, you know, a certain brand of pencils versus another. I mean, it's these really small decisions, but can really add up very quickly with something like back to school shopping. So having your budget visual is important too. So if you go to everydollar.com/Rachel, you can actually create a budget on our EveryDollar app. So that you have it with you on your phone when you're in the store. So you're able to really keep track of what's going on with the shopping.
I actually have that app. So,
Oh,
and
there
I
you
think
go.
it's really
Yes.
nice because there's a free version. So if people just want
Yes.
that, you can
That's
do the
right.
free version, doesn't cost anything, but you can also pay for the advanced where you plug in your credit card or, well, hopefully you don't have a credit card if you're
That's right.
following your rules,
Your debit card.
a debit card and all of your information. So that's great
Yes.
to know. Also, like what other advice do you have? You like when you're looking at what to buy, I know your kids, they might want the prettiest notebook, the one that has the latest cartoon character on it that's their favorite. So how do you go about that, navigating pleasing your child, but not going overboard?
Well, again, I think it's all about choices. So where you shop, I think is really important. Your money will go further at certain stores. So you think about the Dollar Tree or Dollar General. And honestly, getting the basics at things like places like that are really great because you're going to be able to take advantage of those prices. But even if you go to a Target or a Walmart, know in the store where you're shopping. Like Target, the bullseye section may have some better deals there. So be really specific about where you shop. I think it will save you a lot of money. And then it's all about choices. So when you talk to your kids about it, it's like, okay, yeah, if you want the notebook with Spider-Man on it, it's probably going to cost a little bit more. So let's go cheaper when it comes to the colored pencils and get the off brand there. So again, it's all about these small decisions to stay within budget.
Would you ever recommend giving your kids some money and telling them, hey, you go pick it out yourself, and this is how much you can spend and fill up your cart and let's see how you do?
It's age appropriately, but I think absolutely. And I also encourage parents to bring your kids along. So maybe you're kind of beside them, coaching them a little bit along the way, overlooking their shoulder. But bringing your kids and actually having cash too. This seems really inconvenient, but if you go to the bank and just cash out what you plan to spend, go to the store and then let them make some of the decisions, just like you're saying, because again, they're able to start seeing, okay, price comparison. What do I want? Oh, if I buy more expensive here, I'll have to go cheaper here. And those are skills we use as adults every day. And so, teaching them as early as possible, I think is key. And back to school shopping is a great opportunity because it's fun. It's a memory, that we all have. So allow it to be fun and exciting, but also you can still be intentional with it.
And I think there are some parents who do go into debt this year. I know your whole philosophy is anti-debt. Do anything you can to not go into debt. So, what advice do you have for parents? I mean, what are the dangers of going into debt for something like buying school supplies, buying school uniforms, anything like that?
But when you're spending other people's money is essentially what debt is. Studies show that you end up spending more. You don't have an emotional attachment to it. So if you are going down the aisle and your kid's like, "Can I have this?" This, you're like, "Oh, it's just an extra, $5 here, $5 there." Well, you look up later and it's $70 extra, but you don't have that emotional attachment like you do when it's your own money. And so that's the beautiful thing about using cash. That's a great, stop block right there. If the money's gone, it's gone. But also just knowing, hey, this is our money that's coming out. You make different decisions, and studies have shown that. And so it's just a slippery slope when you start to open up the avenue of debt. You're going to end up spending more, and then it does add more stress and anxiety later on because everything else is high. Inflation has caused, obviously, everyone to feel the high prices everywhere. And so don't let school supply shopping be the place that you bust the budget.
Yeah. Now I want to talk about during the school year. I feel like there's always expenses that come up. If your kids do sports. I mean, there's always equipment. The school, they get maybe the team, they get a shirt or an outfit that they all want to wear. They get sweatpants with their names on them. So, how do you stay on budget during the school year when there's all these things that come up that you might not expect?
Well, I think look back. If your kids have had a year in the past, then you'll kind of know, okay, field day t-shirts here, maybe field trip t-shirts there. So you can kind of have a baseline of, hey, here's what we spent last school year. So going back and getting the record of that, I think is really important. But then I also in your budget would have a miscellaneous category. And I say this with anyone, and this can be with anything. But kids seem to fill up our miscellaneous category more than any other line item because things will come up that you don't expect. So plan for that even. And again, there's going to be times for families during, what we're experiencing with the economy that you may have to make some really hard decisions. But with kids, again, I think making all of this fun, making it exciting, it's not a drag, but also as a parent, showing them, hey, money has limits and money has boundaries. And that is a gift to give your kids in those conversations and those life experiences.
Yeah. And with that miscellaneous category, so that's something you put in every month, or you could even label it kids category. Who knows, right?
Yes, that's exactly right.
So just making sure that you have something every month set aside. And then if you don't spend it, what? Just roll it over in case the next month maybe you have something more.
Yes, I would. Yeah, I always tell people if you have extra money at the end of the month, put it towards your money goals. So if you're getting out of debt, maybe that's an extra $100 or so that you can throw at your debt. Or if you're saving up for something, throw it in savings. You can roll it over to the next month, but if you have some money goals, you can put it towards that.
All right. And then this is something a little off of back to school, but more about parents who have young kids in daycare. I feel like it's getting so expensive right now. I know myself. And so, what advice do you have for parents who maybe they're trying to get out of debt or maybe they're trying to avoid going into debt? But with the cost of daycare nowadays, it's just so hard to stay on track. So, what advice do you have for them?
Yeah, this is so difficult. I mean, I have 3 kids and, we see the prices and it is so, so hard. And so more than ever, I think if you're a 2 income family, a lot of families now are looking, if you have multiple kids, to say, gosh, is it even worth me going to work? Because for a lot of people, one of the salaries ends up being close to what the childcare is costing, which is just insane. But that's the reality of it. So some people are having those conversations. But there's also, look at different options. Every place, obviously, you want your kids taken care of. You want the best for them. You want them to be safe. You want that peace as a parent, 100%. But look around, certain daycare centers will be different prices. And I even have friends and they do an at-home daycare where they share, it's kind of like a nanny share, so you can get creative with it. But it is so difficult, especially if you're a single parent and you don't really have a lot of options. You have to be working. Again, looking at options within that, it's really it. But that's the hard part is we can't always control the prices, of things like daycare, but control what you can. And again, hopefully, depending on the future, we see supply and demand, and daycare is one of those as well. So there may be, a time that there's going to be other options and they'll lower prices, but we don't have control over that.
Yeah, very hard topic. All
It
right.
is hard.
Any other advice you have for parents?
No, I think that was it. That was
All
great.
right, I
Thank
think
you
we
so
covered it.
much.
Well, thank you so much, Rachel Cruze, for joining us today. I know you're in Nashville. We're here in Greenville, South Carolina. So it's a pleasure to have you.
Yes, thank you so much.